Сайн байцгаана уу гэх юм үзэгчтэй. Та бүхэн энэ өдрийн амгалан гэлтгийа. За Tuguldur TV сувгийн эрхлэн явуулж байгаа онлайн ярилцлагын энэ дугаарт Цагаачлалын хуульч өмгөөлөгч ноён Morrison оролцож байна. За хуульч Morrison бол Калифорни мужид улсад амьдардаг. Калифорни мужид улсад болон Вашингтон DC хотод эрх зүйн үйлчлэгээ үзүүлэх ийм зөвшөөрөлтэй хүн юм байна. За ингээд энэ хүнийг сонгож авсан шалтгаан бол энэ хүн бол хамгийн анх ДВ 2020 хоцсон хүмүүсийг төлөөлж Трампын засгийн газрыг шүүхэд өгж ирсэн. За ийм хүн байгаа. Тийм учраас энэ хүний анх эхлүүлсэн энэхүү эрх зүйн маргаан уралт дуусаагүй хөгжиж байгаамаа. За энэхүү ярилцлагын эхний цөөхөн секунд минут орчим хэсэг бичигдээгүй. За миний хариуцлагагүй бол бас бичигдээгүй үлдсэн байна. Хүлцэл өчөж байна. За гэсэн хэдий бол ярилцлагын үндсэн сэдв бичигдэн үлдсэн байгаамаа.
That no DVs were being issued since I guess the last one was issued in March of 2020. And so we started to put together a lawsuit that we filed called Muhammad versus Pompeo. And at the same time, there were other interests that were nonprofits that realized that we were right, that there was a problem. And they took one of their existing lawsuits and amended it. And that became the Gomez case. And then another group of attorneys that are competitors filed the Acre case. So consolidated, we filed two more cases, Muhammad and Kennedy. So it's Gomez is consolidated with Muhammad, Fong, Jong, Acre, and Kennedy. So lots of lawsuits, but they're all in this before the same judge, Judge Mehta, and they all involve the same issue, the plight of DV 2020. What the judge did on September 30th is he issued an order that said, I'm carrying over 9,095 visas until final judgment. And then they could be released if the plaintiffs win. So we are almost at the finish line for that. All the briefing is done on the summary judgment motions. It's just waiting on Judge Mehta's final decision. He could have a hearing before making that decision. He probably will. I don't know for sure. I previously had predicted that the decision would come before the end of April. I'm starting to realize I was wrong. We are running out of time, and I need to get out of the business of predicting things and stick to what I know, which is the law. So he has as much time as he wants to issue the order. And I think that if it's delayed, it's because he's going to make it a better order. So I would not get stressed out or have more anxiety because it's taking longer. If it takes longer, that's probably good. He's making you wait for a reason, you know? So I expect, I almost predicted when in May. I'm not going to do that. He's going to take as much time as he wants to issue that order. And I'm optimistic that it's going to be a path for those 9,095 visas to be issued.
Why did the judge rule such a specific number? So I understand there could be like more than, 40,000 visas pending.
Yeah, it's 35,000 were lost on September 30th, and he only reserved 9,095. He could have reserved up to 35,000. Two things went wrong. One, some of my competitors make a big deal about this. There was a math calculation that he did that is questionable. He didn't consider all the factors. But more importantly, he decided to take into account that 2020 was not a normal year. So he didn't think that the government was responsible for issuing 55,000 because it was not a normal year. And from my perspective, the proclamation was unlawful. The government broke the law, so it doesn't matter that it was not a normal year. They should have had to issue them all, but that wasn't the way Judge Mehta looked at it. And if you'll notice, there were other judges who said that proclamation 10014 was unlawful. There were 3 judges in San Francisco that said that. 2, 1 in DC, 2 in San Francisco. So there were other judges that went that way, but he didn't ever say the proclamation was unlawful itself, just the way it was implemented. So anyway, he still theoretically could expand the number of visas. I would not set that expectation though. I think that it's most likely that the 9,095 will be what's available from Judge Mehta. I think what the real important question is who gets those visas? Will it be the people that are already documentarily qualified and approved, or will it be a free-for-all, or will it just be the named plaintiffs? And here's an important thing. There are not that many named plaintiffs. Like, we only represent 962 families that do not have visas yet in the Mohammed, Fong, Jong, and Kennedy cases. And then we represent a little bit more than 200 other families that were part of what we call Project Voyager that helped finance our lobbying efforts. So if all of them got visas, there's still, you know, 1,000 of 9,000 leaves 8,000, right? So there's still plenty of visas. And like the Ager case, I think they only have like 20 DVs left. All the Gomez were issued visas. There's no plaintiffs in Gomez. So it's really just Mohammed, Fong, Jong, and Kennedy named plaintiffs. And those are 962 families. I was wrong to say 962 visas because it's probably about 2,000 visas total.
I think the case number matters. Like, you know, some people have
Right.
maybe the higher numbers, like 30, 20,000 case number, right?
Right.
Versus some people have very, you know, low number. So
right.
My assumption is like 9,000 will go to like whoever has the lower number. And
that's logical, but it depends on what the order says. I mean, Judge Mehta could designate that he wants the first 2,000 of those 9,095 to go to named plaintiffs. And then the remainder could go to the people that are qualified first, or could go to the lowest number. The reason the lowest number is maybe not logical is because you've got 5 different regions. You know, you've got Asia, Africa, Oceania. I'm not going to get them all right. Europe and South America, and those regions each have the same number scheme. So there's an added factor in that many of the consulates are closed. So really, the question, I understand why you're asking the question, but until we see the order and we see what he writes and see what kind of preference he wants to give, if any, we really don't know.
So I know there are also 2021 DV selectees, like, you know, they're suing the government. Why and who were affected for DV 2021?
Right. And what's interesting is DV 2021 selectees are actually at a worse position than DV 2020, if you can believe it or not, because DV 2020 at least had many selectees that were issued visas before COVID, like before the restrictions, like in December, January, February. That did not happen with DV 2021. So as of the March statistics, 20 DV 2020s had been issued. 20 as of the end of March. Now, in April, we understand that number's gone up, but the statistics haven't been issued yet, so we can't really say for sure how much it's gone up from the State Department statistics. But it's negligible. I look at the DV lottery system as a machine. The machine is not on. So that's why lawsuits are necessary. So far, we have filed 2 lawsuits on behalf of DV 2021. We filed the Jacob case, which includes a class action, and that's pending. We hope to get an order on that after May 20th. Our next hearing is May 20th. And then we filed a case called Ray versus Biden. And that case in the District of Columbia is for Schengen banned countries, people that are stuck because of that 14-day ban. And now we're going to file one more, and probably not another, DV 2021 lawsuit just for DV 2021s in the District of Columbia. And we are making an announcement to our wait list about that case on May 1st. But I'm prepared to share some details with you if you want some.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we're going to file that case on June 6th. The onboarding deadline, meaning you have to make a decision on whether to join or not to join, is May 31st. So we're giving you a full month to explore this opportunity to decide whether or not it's right for you. The attorney fees will be $1,500. That's $500 is the initial fee, and then $1,000 after you enter the U.S., and that's fixed. It doesn't matter. The family size doesn't matter. It's per DV selectee. Spouses and children are free, basically. There are a few countries like Africa, Venezuela, Cuba, Nepal, and Yemen and Iran that we are not going to require the initial payment, and we are letting them pay once they get to the U.S. A couple of those countries, it's because it's impossible to get money out of them. They can't send us money. Communist countries, you can't do that. And then the second, in the other countries like Yemen, it's economic hardship. They actually don't have any money there.
So who is the Judge Mehta? Is like friend or foe? Is he a good guy?
I think he's a good guy. He's not as progressive as a judge as I would be. He sticks a little bit to the law stricter than I would. But I think he cares about immigrants and he seeks to do the right thing. So I think he's a great jurist. He less liberal than me, but a great jurist.
So, Mr. Morris, I'm curious. So, what would be your advice to DV winners who are in the U.S. and seeking to adjust their status?
I'm so glad you asked that question. There's two things I want to say to DV 2021s in the U.S. that are seeking adjustment of status. First, be aware of something called the 90-day rule. You want to be in the United States for 90 days before you do this process, before you file this petition, because that way there's not a presumption that you entered the U.S. to immigrate. It's a little complicated, but if you seek the advice of an immigration attorney, they will help you with it. The second thing is hire an immigration attorney that is geographically near you so they can attend your interview also. We now have attorneys across several different states, and I know that we can attend interviews in California, in New York, Ohio, also AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association. If you go to their website, they have a search bar where you can search for attorneys so you can find one that's close to you, immigration attorney that's close to you.
All right, thank you so much. So actually I'm following you on Twitter, so I would know exactly when the judge rules, right?
Yes.
So that time I'm gonna shoot you another email so you come back and give us an update.
That will be great. I'd be happy to do that.
We really appreciate your time and we will see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you, bye. 아이고 응고독자 머리슨도 ярилцлага. За энэ хүнтэй холбогдож магадгүй одоо Калифорни юм уу улс юм уу? Washington DC орчинд амьдарч байгаа хүмүүс байгаа бол бас 2021 оны суглаа үйдсэн хүмүүс болон одоо энэ хүн одоо цаашлын өмгөөлөгч учраас эрх зүйн одоо зөвлөгөө үйлчлэгээ шаардлагатай байгаа бол мөн одоо Хуульч Morrisonтой холбогдож болох нэ. За ингээд Хуульч Morrisonтой холбогдох утасны дугаар, имэйл хаяг болон одоо вебсайтны хаягийг энэхүү одоо видеоны доод description хэсэгт оруулж өгсөн байгаа. За анхаарал хандуулсан та бүхэнд баярлалаа. Дараагийн дугаараар дахин уулзах хүртэл баяртай.